So last week work had to stop on the TTS because we were waiting for parts. But that meant you guys got spoiled and introduced to the L322 Range Rover that's going to be featuring on the channel in the coming weeks. But back to today, those parts have now arrived. So let's get back and finish this TTS. I've had an exciting parts delivery, which are all the final bits that we need to finish off the TTS. Let's do a little unboxing and we'll take a look. So first of all, we've got new rear brake calipers. Because if you remember, the handbrake mechanism was seized, so we've got two brand new rear brake calipers with fitting kits and everything like that from NB Parts all the way over in Germany. What we've got now is the new brakes, discs and pads from Mtec Brakes. Look at the size of these. So they're drilled and grooved, but look at that. They're like the size of my head. How mad's that? These look awesome. I can't wait to get these on the car. They're the rear discs. Again, same style, drilled and grooved. Performance brake pads from Mtec Brakes. So brand new pads. Fronts and rears of those with all the fitting kits and stuff. So as I've told you before, the car's currently got Bilstein B12s on it, the shortened performance shocks and the iBack Pro Kit springs. But what we're going to do, we're going to replace it for this brand new coilover kit. This kit from Pro Sport is going to be exactly what I need for the TTS, completely renewing the shocks and springs all round, with a lowering range of 20mm to 60mm on the front and a whopping 30 to 75mm on the rear. Although from a price perspective, this is an entry-level kit, I can tell you now, the quality of it looks better than kits that are double the price. And I've actually had a few Pro Sport kits on previous cars, so I know they're up to the challenge. But moving on, it's time to get the car up on the ramp and get cracking. Even getting the car up on the ramp can be a task in itself sometimes. Where it's lowered, the ramp arms don't go under unless I drive it onto blocks of wood to increase the gap between the side skirt and the floor. What can I say? If you know, you know. So we've got the TTS up on the two-post ramp. We've got loads of stuff to do to get it ready for the MOT. So let's get cracking. Right, the first bit we're going to tackle is the rear suspension. So this is the driver's side rear shock or the offside rear shock. As you can see, that has been leaking for quite some time. That's the spring down there. So we've got to get both of those out and fit the new Pro Sport kit up. It should be a pretty straightforward job, but you know what it's like. Where the car's been sat for a while, there's probably going to be some difficulties. So the first thing is to take off the inner arch liner. I hate mud. There's loads of things I can deal with. Oil, any kind of car fluid is fine, but I hate mud. Whee! So if you look up there, that's exposed the two bolts that undo the top mount. Then we've got to unbolt the shock from down there. Yeah, so that's made that nice and easy. We can actually just pop that spring out. Hey, that's the old shock that we're taking off that's been leaking. I've just had a little brainwave. If we're taking all of the suspension off, it makes sense to swap out the top mounts for brand new top mounts while we're doing it. So that way everything's new and it shouldn't give us any problems. I've got on the phone to Motor Parts Direct and they've got some top mounts coming out for me. So as we're on a bit of a time crunch, I just got on with it and I stripped the other side. So that's it, all the rear suspension's now off. Okay, so the back's done. It's now time to get cracking on the front. We've got to do discs, pads, suspension, and top mounts here as well. So let's get cracking. As you can see, we started strong by having to grind off the drop links because they were seized. I guess that means Motor Parts Direct are sending some drop links out as well. To remove the fronts, it's just 3 bolts at the top, 1 bolt at the bottom, which, you guessed it, was seized. Hammer away at it, and then get the big lever bar on it to get the shock out. And that's it, that's all the suspension off, time for the brakes. So we're going to take the rear brakes apart. 2 bolts on the back here to remove the caliper, and then 2 more bolts to remove the caliper carrier. We've got a disc retaining screw here. And so once we've undone that, the disc will come off, and then that's the brake stripped on the back, ready to go back together. So I'll start doing it, and you guessed it, more seized bolts. Ah, there we are, that one's going to go. Doesn't help that we've got the suspension moving up and down, we've got no suspension in. Jesus. They are tight. All of the bolts that have come out have been looking absolutely minging. So I've been having to clean them all up with a wire brush. And again, it's just making everything take longer than it needs to take. Once I've wasted about half an hour doing that, we can get the disc off. So I've got to undo the disc retaining screw now. And if you're a mechanic, you know how much of a pain in the just these tiny little screws can be. So I've got a T30 Torx bit on here, and we'll give it a go. I got lucky, that one came undone super easily actually. Whee. Disc off, clean up the hub and the backing plate, put a coat of paint on it, job done, onto the front. And they're exactly the same. 2 bolts for the caliper, 2 bolts for the carrier. Oh wait, guess what? They're seized. Just so you're aware of what's going on here, that is a 4-foot long scaffold bar slotted over a 1/2-inch breaker bar. So that gives you an idea on how tight and how seized some of these bolts are. With that extra leverage, I've still had to put all my force into it to get it to undo. Once I've done that, it's disc retaining screw off, disc off, clean up the hub and backing plate, and that is it. All of the brakes are now off. And just as I was finishing that, Motor Parts Direct turn up with the parts that I ordered. The new top mounts all round and the new drop links. Now they're here, we can fit the coilovers. So the new suspension setup that we've got going on is these Pro Sport coilovers. This is just a basic height adjustable coilover kit. As you can see here, you use these metal rings, just wind them up and down on the thread to change the height. So right the way down, super low, right the way up, a bit higher. This is from the front, so we're going to put the new Febby top mount on that, and then they're going to go in the front. And then there's a separate shock, spring and adjuster for the rear. So same principle applies. You've got this little turning adjuster, rotate it up for higher, down for lower. And because I'm actually a little boy racer at heart, we're going to put everything on quite low and see how it sits, even if it's just for a laugh. Even if I put it on and go, nah, that is way too low for me now, I've got a bit older, I'm going to put it on as low as it will go and we'll see what happens. So we get those fresh KYB top mounts on the new shocks, and then just reverse the process. Pop the new spring in, do the shock bolts up, and we're done. It's the new rear suspension, all fitted. Fingers crossed the fronts go together just as easy. It's a bit of a different process for the fronts, as we've got to compress the spring to put the new top mount on. So to do that, we've got a special spring compressor that takes the tension off the spring so we can put the top mount on and bolt the top mount up nice and tight, and then release the tension on the spring so it's all in one complete unit ready to go on the car. We then do the 3 bolts up on the new top mounts, guide the bottom of the shock into the hub assembly and make sure it's all the way to the bottom, fit the new drop links up, and that's the front suspension setup all fitted. Look how nice that looks. That is going to perform awesome. Now we can get those 340mm Mtec discs on the front with the performance pads, bolt the calipers back up, and that's the front brake upgrade completed. As it was getting a bit late on in the day, I decided that I was going to pack up for the night, but before I'd done that, I figured, do you know what? I am going to get ahead of things here and paint the new brake calipers before I even mount them to the car. That way, that's one less thing to do further down the line, which takes a bit of time that I can't speed up. So if I get some paint on now, before I go home, it'll be dry in the morning when I come back to fit the calipers. I can tell you now, I thought I was a genius. Still got loads to do, but it's getting late, so I'm going to have a tidy up. I'll make myself a coffee and I'm going to head home. The rest of it's going to have to wait till tomorrow. So I massively underestimated how long all of this was going to take. So what I really need to do now is just knuckle down and get some stuff done, just so I can make sure that we're going to get everything done in time. So it's about time I got stuck in and started doing some of the jobs I've been trying to avoid, like remove those seized rear calipers. Okay, so I'm getting seriously fed up with this car right now. Everything on it is seized. I've had to cut a front top mount off, the rear caliper carrier bolts were seized, now the brake lines are seized on both the rear calipers and one of them is completely rounded off like this. So this is proving a real pain. Something that should have been quite a simple job in theory is now an absolute pain in the ass. Fortunately, we've got the tools on site to be able to make new brake pipes. So I checked the fitments of the pipes and made sure we had everything in stock that we needed, and I fabricated some new brake pipes to go on the calipers because we couldn't use the damaged and corroded ones that come off. There we are, look at that, 2 new brake pipes freshly made. This is where things started to take a turn. So I've made an error here. I've got ahead of myself, and what I've done is I've bolted the caliper carrier up before I've put the disc on. That is not a good thing. I've now got to take that caliper carrier off again, to put the disc on. So after wasting more time removing that caliper carrier again, we got the new Mtec brakes on the rear. Little did I know, this was just the start of my rear brake issues. This is where I realised me being a genius has been short-lived. So it turns out that the rear calipers are wrong. They're not quite thick enough. For f***'s sake. I've already painted them and stuff, so I can't even send them back. Oh. This is very quickly becoming an absolute nightmare. I've had to take a 5-minute break, come and make myself a coffee and sit down and just relax for a minute, because at this point in time, things cannot get any worse. I've gone to fit the caliper on the driver's side, and I've realised that the new rear calipers that I ordered from eBay that specifically said they were for the Audi TTS are incorrect. They're not wide enough to take the new pads, and I've compared it with the old one, and yeah, sure enough, you're talking the old caliper is about a centimetre wider, obviously to accommodate a slightly wider disc. So I've already painted those new calipers as well, because I thought I was getting ahead of it, painting them so when I put them on they were all done, ready to go. And so now I can't even return those calipers. So that's where we're at right now, and we're 4 days away from having to finish the car. Oh, I just hit my head as well, ouch, lovely. So we're 4 days away from having to finish the car for Driven by Espresso. And it ain't looking good right now, I can tell you that. I'm stressed out to the max. I've called Motor Parts Direct. They're just seeing what they can do for getting me some rear calipers and some rear brake hoses so we can get this problem sorted. So those eBay brake calipers turned out to be wrong, which is a right pain, because I've already painted them, which means I can't send them back. But good news is Motor Parts Direct have come through with 2 calipers that are the right ones for the car. So all we've got to do is get them fitted up, get them painted, and then it's done. It's ready for its MOT. So that's it. New calipers from Motor Parts Direct are all fitted and on the car, working correctly. All I need to do now is we need to bleed the brakes out. I'm going to do that before we paint them, because what I don't want to do is paint them fresh and then try and bleed them when the paint's wet. We'll bleed them first, I'll clean them all up again, and then I'll paint them, and then I can leave it overnight to let the calipers dry. Right, so that's it now. I'm going to drop the car down a little bit. I'm going to get in it, and my dad's going to help me bleed the brakes. If you're not sure what bleeding the brakes means, because we put new calipers, discs, pads, everything on there, there's going to be some air in the system. It's very similar to when people talk about like bleeding radiators. So you've got a fluid system, a hydraulic system that works the brakes with the brake fluid. And then what you need to do is, once you've taken a caliper off or something like that, you've allowed air into that system. You need to just bleed the air out of it to make sure that the system pressurizes properly to give you the best braking force. I wish I could go into more detail on some of this stuff, but I can't emphasize how much of a rush I'm in to get this done now. Now the brakes have been bled and they're all okay. We can move on to getting a bit of paint on the calipers before I go home tonight, and then leave it overnight to dry. So it's the next day and we've got less than 48 hours to go. I get on with wet flattening and polishing up that rear quarter that my dad painted. Lower the front coilovers another 8mm just to match the arch gaps. My plan is I want to be able to take the car home tonight, so it gives me a whole day of snagging just in case there's other bits we need to do. It's time to roll it out of the workshop, take it for a super quick test drive just down the road and back to make sure everything seems okay. I think it's got to the point where it now deserves a wash. Can we just appreciate though how nice it looks on those Fox wheels with the Pro Sport coilovers and the Mtec brakes on it. Even though it's filthy, I'm well pleased with it. So time for a quick bath and a couple of final bits before it's MOT ready. So that's an initial wash done. That is the first wash that car has had since August 2025. It's just a quick wash, just run over it with a brush and a couple of Auto Finesse products just to get the main bulk of the dirt and grime off. And then we're going to give it a proper detail, but so far I think it looks absolutely incredible. So while I had a little bit of time before the MOT, I ran the clay bar over it quickly to get rid of any contaminants on the bodywork, sprayed it with a bit of quick detailer, and then the last thing to do is put on my brand new pressed number plates that are 100% road legal, by the way. I'd done the research. They are 100% road legal. I made sure of it. So the TTS went through its MOT perfect. No advisories, no issues, which was a massive weight off my mind. So this means we're going to be able to take the TTS home tonight. So all that's left to do is do a little bit of tidying up, throwing all the old bits in the scrap, and getting excited about driving the TTS for the first time in 6 months. As I was waiting for my dad to get back to the garage before I went home, I thought I'd go and have a coffee and catch up with you lot. That's the phone. Should probably answer that, but whenever I answer the phone, all they do is ask for my dad. And my dad's not here right now, so what's the point? I can't help them with anything. They just go, all right, I'll call back later. It's mad, actually. Like, I've forgotten the feeling of completing a project car and it rolling out the workshop and it being done, ready to use on the road. Like, I completely forgot what that felt like because I've not done it. I've not done it for many years, and it's such a good feeling. Like, I'm really enjoying the feeling that the TTS is nearly ready to go to its first show. Like, that is insane. Like, looking back on the past few months of where it's come from being basically neglected and being left sat there for months on end, just gathering dust and rotting away, to now being fully roadworthy again, in the best condition it's ever been, with new wheels, new suspension, new brakes, a bunch of new other upgrades as well. It's awesome, and I'm really looking forward to getting to enjoy it and drive it a lot more. Right, so it's Thursday evening, about 5 PM. I've got everything finished on the TTS, ready to go to Driven by Espresso on Saturday. I've literally just gone to leave the workshop and drive it home. I've got half a mile down the road and the battery's died on me. And so I've got no power whatsoever now. So I've had to limp it back to the garage. And now I'm going to get in the Range Rover and I'm going to go to my mum's for dinner. What? Literally cannot make this up. Literally cannot make it up. I'm thinking I'm going to drive it home. It's going to be sick. And then this happens. Oh, mate. Yeah, this is not looking good. From my experience of cars, this is looking like it's a lot worse than just changing a battery. I'm going to let you all into a little secret. There's a very, very high chance that the TTS will not make it because of the problems that happened last night. And I don't know if I can fix them today. I'm sad.